stay with us for another 15 minutes for Jens talk.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Artistic Crystal. I'm Ian Rash, and today we're going to be going over a bunch of the different fun shards that the Crystal community has that will allow you to create different kinds of art, both audio and visual. So let's jump into it. So who am I? I'm Solvin. I have a design and manufacturing company that engineers promotional products, and we use Crystal to generate some of those products automatically. So like, you can have a unique product every time. And you can check out my site at sol.vin, as well as all the social links on the left, my GitHub, Twitter, and Twitch. This is an example of some of the products that I make. This is a business card that turns into a jet and a tank. It's made out of wood. And these, I'm super excited. I got permission from the Crystal team to sell some Crystal merch. So I am going to be selling Crystal earrings on my shop. So I hope if you have a lucky lady who you're interested in giving a little gift to, maybe think about one of those. So why art? So art is a really interesting topic when it comes to programmers because programmers really like close-ended tasks, stuff that we can, test and, pull apart into smaller issues and test those smaller bits. And art gives us an opportunity as a programmer to explore open-ended problems that don't have a solution, but yet, still have maybe an answer that we can, play around with. So what do you gain by doing art as a programmer, right? One of them is design knowledge. We do a lot of different kinds of design work, not just like visually, but also designing the systems that we, are programming for. Doing art gives us the opportunity to explore, doing different kinds of design that we might not have had an opportunity to do otherwise. Also teaches us a lot about problem solving skills, right? Because art, it's a process, and processes can be broken down into smaller bits. Even though we don't necessarily have a 100% concrete end goal, that still doesn't mean we can't break up a problem into smaller bits and, work from it from there. And hey, who knows? Maybe we'll even have a little fun along the way. So art gives us this weird opportunity to make like really interesting stuff or things out of stuff that we might not have normally used. For example, there are people who make sculptures out of macaroni or ice. All of those come with their own unique challenges that somebody has to work through. How do you get the macaroni to stick to each other? How do you sculpt an ice sculpture in a certain amount of time before it melts? Our art gives us the ability to play with those issues and try to come up with solutions. Also NFTs, like, let's be real, everyone loves NFTs, and can't blame them for that. I mean, it's kind of the digital artist renaissance in that way. So we've got some different tools, and I'm going to start off with the graphical tools first, and I've ordered them all. I'm pretty sure I did this right on the number of stars on the GitHub project. So the first one is StumpyCR. Many of you will probably be familiar with it because it is pretty much one of our most popular image shards. It supports PNG, GIF, and BMP. It's got really simple operations, simple per pixel, set a pixel to a color, incredibly easy stuff. You can check out their GitHub on StumpyCR. And a piece of work I wanted to show off was Daniel Huffman's, Dr. Huffman 12's Crystal Ray Tracer, which the output image is made through StumpyCR. There's Celestine, which is an SVG library for Crystal, which I wrote. It supports about 70% of the SVG spec, which is pretty much about everything you're going to need. There's not too much else outside of what what's already implemented that probably needs to get implemented. It's really flexible. It's got both a nested kind of DSL, but it also has a really good building system for taking the for essentially taking like individual objects, like making a rectangle, for example, and then being able to reuse it or etc. it's also really good for pen plotters and laser cutters. I have a 80-watt laser cutter at home, like it's a big industrial machine, and I print SVGs using it all the time. I just send it over. It's very direct, and Celestine can fully make an SVG that you could just send to the laser cutter and it'll just work. There we go. This is an example of a SVG that was actually created with Celestine. It uses animation to be able to get the different layers to move. There we go. Here's another SVG that was made using Celestine by one of our community artists, Sugarfi. It plays this sunset. It does it kind of slowly, so I'm going to boost up the playback speed. But the sun slowly goes down and the stars slowly come up, which is really cool because this has no JavaScript in it. It's entirely an SVG file. And then we have another one, another sun-based one from Sugarfi. But this one actually uses a filtering effect to make a kind of shimmering water, which I really dig. All right, come on, there we go. All right, gr.cr. So this is a GR framework wrapper, which allows you to make a kind of desktop application that just pumps out these kind of visual like plots or data. It's written by Koji X2, one of our Japanese Crystal developers. And he wrote a very cool looking test. It's probably not going to look as cool once YouTube's compression algorithm has had its way with it. But he wrote a simple attractor field. And of course, it makes very interesting and special patterns as time goes on. There we go. And last but not least, we have Crysterm. So Crysterm is, I think he's going to be Daver's going to be talking about that on track 1. And I think it's either next session or then the one after. But it's basically a console shard that allows for an interactive console, applications to be made. Runs as a desktop application essentially, and just in the terminal. And it's really powerful. I was actually playing around with some of the ASCII art stuff that could be done, but I don't have too much to show off. So I couldn't find any people in the community making ASCII art with it. Moving on to audio, we have a bunch of really cool audio libraries that are like really solid, and one of them is Quartz. Quartz is very simplistic. Okay, it's like a direct C binding to something that just allows you to pump integer data directly into the sound card to make sound. Pumping into integer data directly in the sound card is definitely more complicated, but it's not totally out of someone's reach who doesn't know too much about sound to kind of figure out how it would work. But again, it's really basic, but it's fast, but it's just harder to use essentially. Then I wrote a binding to something called libsunvox, which is a modular synthesizer and tracker, which basically the binding gives you full digital audio workstation capabilities. So pretty much you can put notes down, you can make instruments, you can put modules together to make them, act and react in specific ways. And you can create instruments using the SunVox application to import those instruments into Crystal and be able to play them. You can also process audio in real time. I was planning on doing a vocoder demo, but unfortunately I couldn't get it to work with, OBS just does the camera, it doesn't do the audio, it doesn't have an audio thing, so I couldn't make that work. But it is much slower than Quartz, right? Because there's a lot more in the terms of latency, but it's also much easier to use because you want to do reverb, there's a reverb module. This is what SunVox looks like. You have modules which you hook together. One of them takes notes, and then the other one, or the other, all the other ones go to the output. There's notes, and you can essentially change the different instrument, settings. And yeah, I would play this, but I don't know if it'll actually do. Hold on, let's see if it'll. I hope you guys can hear that. Yeah, so that was created entirely in Crystal and libsunvox. Oops. There we go. And the takeaway, art's cool. I I really love art, and I hope that we'll see more people in the Crystal community coming through. And yeah, I guess the sound, whatever. Hold on, let me let me grab the thing here. Oh, I guess I can't copy the thing. Oh well, I'll grab it in a bit. Well,
yeah, you would
either
have
way,
to,
that's about it.
that's okay. You would have to stop sharing and then start sharing again, ticking the box at the bottom of the sharing options. But that's actually fine. I think this was a great carousel of all the libraries that we have already available at our disposal to create something amazing, and also really great to see how you turn some of the digital creation into concrete art, right? Via 3D printing. That's very, very exciting. I
Yep.
think there's quite a lot of comments. Um, it's also great to see that some of the contributors you mentioned are also on the chat right now and are kind of watching the talk. And
Oh yeah, I see that. Oh, that's really cool to see. Here, I'm posting the GitHub in the chat here for the person asking about that. Let me just go all the way up to the top here. Okay, so let's see. Great to see side by side comparison. Sorry, I'm trying to get through to find. I saw there was one question that I got in the middle of it.
there's one question from Ryan on the Q&A. Maybe we can start from that. The question is actually fairly relevant. It says, does the crystal garbage collector cause any performance issue for real-time usage?
Not that I have found so far in my testing, at least with libsunvox. The big thing is that like SunVox as an application, it's very like latent when you actually use the application. And it's like really obvious when you have like a MIDI keyboard plugged in and you press a note on SunVox and you can tell that there's a delay. But when you actually use the library directly, that delay is like nothing. So I was able to do like full, like actual vocoder, like have the vocoder do the all the work itself essentially in Crystal. So cool stuff.
Great. There's more comments. And also, Ian, can you stop sharing the screen so that we
yeah,
can see
sure
your face?
thing.
Great.
Sure thing.
Thank you. Daniel was also mentioning something around some work he did with Jabari. Oh, yeah. So again, names that we know and love from the community. Jabari is also Jabari is one of the greatest people you can work with in the community. Always busy with something maths related and numerical computations.
Yeah,
So
the ray tracer Daniel wrote is really cool too. I went through the code. I thought it was super interesting, and it's really neat to be able to see Crystal, pulling such a heavyweight task for sure.
And always great to see you and to have you speaking, Ian.
Hey, glad I could come. Thanks a lot, guys.